Hey guys, Urban Combat Survivor here. This is a video response to the conversation that's going around about the marketplace video I made. This one is for Lambdog76, and alright, I took some notes. So, first thing I want to say is it completely blows that we're living in such a touchy-feely society that you feel the need to apologize beforehand just for having a dissenting opinion. That's I never take insult at someone having a different view of things. You offered a well thought out, intelligent opinion. You didn't throw a bunch of personal attacks. You didn't throw in a bunch of subtle digs or anything like that. So it kind of, it sucks that you even felt the need to set that up with a caveat like that. But I appreciate the discourse. So now let me hop into it here. I think you did a fair setup and explanation of quick synopsis anyway, the safe zone plan. And you kind of hopped into that I'm advocating some kind of gun control. And I'll get into that a little bit later, but let me just say that what you're saying there is, I think the pivotal difference in what we're seeing is, from my opinion, if myself and others that I'm working with in my community carve out a little piece of chaos and we create or recreate or reestablish the rule of law in that area quickly, I don't believe that is a public area anymore. I think it's fair to assume or view that as private property at that point, because there's not going to be public access in and out. There's not going to be open ingress and egress for vehicles or groups or anything else. It's going to be, kind of blocked off. So I don't associate that with a public area, and I think that's where we're kind of differing on the way we're viewing the whole thing. Just on that foundational piece of perspective. So in that light, again, public versus private land, private property, I view it kind of like this. Those people that constantly misinterpret the First Amendment to say things like, well, this is America and I have the freedom of speech, so you shouldn't be able to block me from your channel. You shouldn't be able to delete my my comments no matter what I say. That's not the First Amendment. That's an intentional or ignorant interpretation of the First Amendment, and I think it's kind of not as egregious as that. That's an example that I gave because of the extreme nature of it, but it's kind of the same road that you're going down with this. So as far as I'm concerned, any place that you cannot just walk into, you have to go through security, of any kind to get through there, unless otherwise stated. For instance, airlines as a public service, then I don't think you should expect to be afforded all of the same freedoms, not constitutional freedoms, but all of the same access. For instance, if someone comes into your home, this is a free country, and you invited them into your home, that doesn't mean they can go into your bedroom and start rifling your wife's underwear drawer. Similarly, if your home or your business, you choose for people not to be armed in your home or business, then that's a prerogative that you have as a business owner. I'm a smoker, and realistically, people regularly have to make the choice on whether or not they're going to patronize a business based on the choices that business makes. Smoking is an easy example. Many restaurants allow smoking, and many do not. And as someone who smokes, I have to choose whether or not that's okay with me as a smoker, and I'm assuming, is a non-smoker, and if not, let's just go for this. You also choose that. If you would rather not be in a restaurant where people are smoking, you include that in your decision-making process. I don't see the safe zone marketplace any differently than that. You got into some tactics, and again, you did a fair setup and explanation of the tactics, buffer zone, and all that. I've stayed away from tactical specifics for a few reasons. You talked about, the buffers and the overlapping fields of fire, patrols for interdiction, patrols for intelligence gathering, scavenging, et cetera, et cetera. And, the possible military assets of any opposing forces. Let me just say that I'm well aware that Latin Kings operate and actually claim my neighborhood at home. So, I know it's not going to be, it's not going to be lollipops and sunshine being thrown at me and anyone in my safe zone if this ever went down. So, but the most important thing to me is that I feel there are others out there, even on YouTube, that are far more qualified than I am to get into specific tactical explanations and scenarios and that kind of thing. And on that note, there's a guy I fairly recently found named Southern Prepper 1, and that guy is, he's a hell of an asset to the YouTube community, in my opinion. And if you haven't checked him out, man, please go check that dude out. One of the things you mentioned, in perceptions, was the psychological aspects of a safe zone. Different aspects of that, and I think that's a whole conversation unto itself, and it's one that I welcome if you'd like to have it. By all means, man, we can do a series of videos going back and forth discussing that. But the psychology is one of the reasons that I'd like to establish not only the safe zone but the marketplace in the first place, is because there are a lot of positive psychological ramifications to that. And someone trying to shatter that kind of safe zone psychology, thereby taking away the feeling of safety, is certainly something that I've thought about. Let me just say that two of the guys I'm working directly with are ex-military, and two of the guys that I'm working with peripherally are much more experienced ex-military. Well, one's actually still military, but so I defer to those people. Unfortunately, I've done a hell of a lot of reading and learning in my life about medieval hand-to-hand melee type military strategy, just as an interest of mine. Unfortunately, I didn't do that with modern military tactics, and it's something that I'm slowly trying to transition and update my knowledge on. But hey, if we lived in a perfect world, this conversation wouldn't be happening anyway, right? You hit on a point that's kind of, you said that I'm going to basically have to play sheriff, or someone in my safe zone is going to. Look, a lot of us, I think, are going to wind up having to wear hats that we prefer not to, or that we are uncomfortable with, but what's the alternative to that? Somebody's going to have to step up to the plate to do these things, and if we don't, is the squeeze worth the juice? What's on the other side of that? The other side of that is an established rule of law in at least your area, at least the area that you have influence in, or, pure chaos and lawlessness. And, if that option is up to me, then I'll step up to the plate and I'll put that hat on if I have to. I think that most people have at least one law enforcement officer in their area. So hopefully that person will be able to step up to anybody looking to make any kind of little safe area or community. Someone with either law enforcement or military or both experiences, hopefully will be willing to step up and take the reins on that kind of situation, just like there'll be no fire services or medical services. So hopefully people with experience in those areas will be willing to step up to the plate and take the responsibility in those areas. And if they're not, again, whoever has to wear the hat to get the job done is what we have to do, right? Again, we're talking a complete breakdown here, not the most likely of scenarios, but one that I personally believe is possible at this point. So, you start talking about gun control and that kind of thing, and how liberty versus security, and I'm in no way disregarding the Constitution. If I can explain quickly. Again, this is like that First Amendment argument where people say they should be able to come post on your website, or you shouldn't have the option to not accept video replies or something like that because of the First Amendment. That's not how it works. The First Amendment is a public thing, and I believe that in a private home, these things are, I already went over this. I don't want to pound that dead horse, but I think the safe zone will be my home, and it'll be the home of all the people that live and work there. So I think that they should have the discretion of whether or not they would like strangers coming armed into that home. I can disallow weapons in my business or my home at my discretion, I think. Anyone else's rights stop at my front door. Basically, that doesn't mean that I can be a criminal, but it does mean that I can turn them away if I don't want them in my home for whatever reason. And this will be my home. Any merchants that do not see the benefit in coming into a safe zone, they're certainly free to go and do their trading elsewhere. I think it's going to be pretty nasty out there, and I really believe that most of the people out there that are doing any kind of trading on a large scale, or people who can't afford security, will be pretty happy to come to a place where they know that there is provided security and that there's not going to be groups of armed men allowed in there to run amok. I'm not going to brook any arguments about it either. You earn trust. Trust is not something that anyone is by right given. You do not have the right to someone trusting you. So if you are a merchant and you come to my area and you want to trade your widgets or wadgets or boggles or whatever they are, your option is to work within the rules of the private property market that we've established, or find a market that you're more comfortable with. I don't think there's going to be a long-term bitterness or resentment that's set up over that, because, as I said, and I didn't even say it was definite that people who earn trust over time will be allowed to carry firearms. I just said it's a possibility. It might not come to that. That may never come to fruition because you never know how chaotic a situation is going to be. And as you said, someone in our group is going to have to play sheriff. So it depends on how chaotic the situation is that we have to deal with. I'm trying to get through this before. You asked what would be different in my situation than it is today. Well, the difference is no government, no police, no military, no courts, no jails, no dog catchers, no nothing. Everything will be provided by the private force inside that safe zone. So I think there's a huge difference. In the long run, if things work properly, if everything goes well, the safe zone can expand and start offering services like the above, and actually start reestablishing a small government with elections and that kind of thing. Look, that's great, and that would be the ultimate goal always in that kind of situation if there really was a breakdown like that. And that would allow parts or all of the safe zone to actually become public, because there's now a defending force and a police force and that kind of thing. I don't think anybody would be sacrificing liberty for security in that situation just because it's not public. And again, because they have the choice. It's not like Katrina where I'm forcing people to give me their guns no matter what. The option is you come into my home, you check your gun at the door, buddy. And if not, then you're not welcome in my home, sorry. But, I'm sure there's a market someplace else, or go set your own up. Free market. If you don't like the way this market runs, free market capitalism, go set your own up. If you watched my other safe zone videos, I actually say pretty clearly, man, the rule of law still counts here. That's the point. The rule of law is the Constitution of the United States. And there was actually a big discussion that went around about what the rule of law exactly will be. Will it use English common law, or what will be used, because statutes and things like city charters and that kind of thing are just so expanded beyond anything something small like that would be able to enforce without court systems and elected officials and that kind of thing. So you're right on. There's no room for bleeding hearts in that kind of situation. At least not at first, not in the discussion, or you're not in the decision-making process. So the difference in liberties, I just think we see it differently as public versus private, and I'm out of time. So if that didn't cover everything, let me know in a comment or a video response, and we'll keep going, man. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.